Hello everybody and welcome to another one in our video series entitled Breaking Down Barriers. My name is Chris Igwe and I'm sharing with you, inspired by my book Breaking Down Barriers, my journey from a small African village to the world stage. That world stage being whatever you want it to be, whatever you need it to be. It's really a bit of a roadmap, but it's not sequential. It's an idea that I put together based on my thoughts, my philosophies, my views of the world as I've seen them, which I share with you, and then I give you a personal story to add to that, to give you some connection and see how that can work in your own life. So today, in these brief moments that we spend together, this is a topic which I hope it can resonate with you beyond just the words, and I'll explain to you how and why. It's entitled, Change Your Behavior Before It's Too Late. Change your behavior before it is too late. And I start out by saying, which is true, there are certain behaviors that you could say we are born with. We start out life in that way. And then there are others that we acquire as we grow. Whichever one it is, whether inherently you grew up with it or it's something you acquired along life's path, the key thing I want you to recognize, and the key thing around this story, is that the ones that destroy us are the negative behaviors. Emphasis on negative. The negative behaviors are the ones that can destroy us or in some way, shape or form impact our lives and the decisions that we make and the choices that we make. And because I love quotes, I'll start out with Henry Cloud quote, and he's an American author. He says, "We change our behavior when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. Consequences give us the pain that motivates us to change." I'll say that again. There's a lot packed in there. It's a powerful quote. We change our behavior when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. Because consequences give us the pain that motivates us to change. So let me just break that down a little bit. What is being said there is, which is why I drew the emphasis on negative behaviors, is that if you don't change a negative behavior, it will destroy you. It will destroy you personally, it will destroy you professionally, or both. So what are those negative behaviors that you have, that you've grown up with, or you've accentuated in some way, shape, or form? And as I was preparing this, I kind of thought back, those of us who've grew up with the likes of John McEnroe in tennis. Do you remember when he used to throw his racket on the floor and say, "You cannot be serious," when he's talking to an umpire or something like that? And for us back in those days, I mean, on the one hand, you think, wow, this kid, this young tennis star is absolutely brilliant. And then on the other, you think, well, is this behavior actually impacting him and his ability to be even greater? Because he was an outstanding tennis player. But there was a behavior there, and some say that drove him to be even as successful as he was. That's a choice. That's an approach when you compare him to a Federer or a Djokovic, who don't have that same, and yet they are, or Nadal, top of their game. How did that impact John McEnroe? Could he have been even greater than he already was? I don't know. It's not a judgment, it's a question. It's one of those that will remain interesting as well as enigmatic. And then there are one-offs, negative behaviors that maybe cause a problem at a given time, but they don't impact your ability to continue. And here, again, as I was doing my preparation for this, I guess, 3 examples, all in the world of football, soccer to the Americans, but football, where, for those that remember or are passionate about it, or you don't need to know, but Zinedine Zidane, who is one of the greatest French footballers of all time, back in the 2006 World Cup, where he, in the World Cup final between Italy and France, he headbutted an Italian defender. It seemed to come out of nowhere, uncharacteristic. He got the red card and was sent off. There's a reason for what happened there. But it was just, the switch was just flipped. But it hasn't stopped him going on and becoming the Real Madrid trainer. He stopped now, but he was there for many, many years, took them to various championships, won. So his success was not impacted by that. However, there was something which triggered it. Another one in football was Eric Cantona, also a Frenchman, who did a kung fu jump into the crowd a long time ago when he was playing for Manchester United. And he got obviously sent off, banned, and various other things. But he's gone on to recreate his own career in other ways. There are just moments where I would call them moments of, not to denigrate or belittle whatever flip that switch. That's not what I'm saying. But there are things that we do which nonetheless, from a behavior point of view, are uncharacteristic. They can impact us, hopefully for not too long in our life or our career, and we can pick up again. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm just saying those are examples of what can happen. Have we done crazy things? Have you done crazy things? Have I done crazy things? Absolutely. But the one story that I won't go into, but I do highlight in the book where I talk about changing behavior, was where, when you look at me today, you would think, I can't believe it. That was not him. But it was. As I grew up, I believe it was inherited. That's why I talk about behaviors that you have from childhood or from your parents or the genes or whatever you want to call it. I had a violent temper. It didn't take a lot to light my fuse. And I struggled to keep it under control for a very long time. And in the end, I won't go through the story, it's in the book. I was able to say, you know what, I need to do something about this, because if not, this is going to ruin my career. I didn't go to therapy, I didn't go to anger management courses or anything like that, but I just knew in myself I had to deal with this. I had to figure a way to get out of it. And the first thing to do, which I recommend to you, and I did as well, was just to recognize the problem and commit to a solution. And without going through all the details, but the solution for me was, every time I felt my blood pressure rising, the anger rising, I would either leave a room and go off somewhere else and just chill. In today's world, with my wife who's a therapist, she would have said, breathe, as she says to the children when they're getting really angry about something. It's like, breathe. Take it down, take it down, take it down. Or go and sit quietly, or go and listen to music, or whatever. But so the first and most important thing is to recognize it and then decide how you're going to deal with it. So that's something I had to work with and work out and work through, changing my behavior so that my anger would not consume me and overwhelm me and destroy me in any way, shape, or form. So here's the critical thinking question that I have. It's in the book. Well, actually, we'll do an action item. So one action item for you is, what negative behavior do you demonstrate today that you want to get rid of? Simple, maybe. Straightforward, probably not. Because there are some behaviors that we actually enjoy. There are some behaviors that destroy us. Another example, going back to football, one of my heroes back in the day was George Best. He was a brilliant, brilliant footballer, played for Manchester United, which by now you'll realize Manchester United is my team. Always has been since forever. And despite the challenges they have right now, I still support them. Difficult, but I support them. And George Best was a phenomenal player. He won European Footballer of the Year. I think he was on. He didn't win the Ballon d'Or, as they call it, the FIFA Cup title, but he was in there. He was absolutely phenomenal. But then women, alcohol, and drug abuse, various other things impacted his amazing career. And eventually he lived until about 60 or so he wasn't that old. But he was phenomenal. So those are other, and recently there's been scandals with certain footballers who have been identified as being involved in betting. And I was listening to a program recently and saying, you know, we may just turn it off, and you and I, and just say, well, they've got so much money, how can they want to bet and even get more money? I mean, they're so well paid. But it's more complex than that. And it is actually a syndrome. It is an illness, a problem they have to overcome. So these are the kind of stark situations that could impact one's life and one's career, and behaviors that are ingrained in some way, shape, or form. So I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm just saying we have to deal with it. The sooner you deal with it, the better, because you want to be able to succeed in whatever your choice is, whether it's career or it could just be family. Alcohol abuse, anger, abusing your wife, your children, those all affect you and could have very serious consequences later on down the track. So here's the critical thinking question. If you changed your behavior, how much more insight do you expect to gain? How much more insight do you expect to gain? And that's the key. The critical thinking questions are there for you to dig deep into yourself, to explore, to understand, and to overcome, to change your behavior before it's too late. I hope this has left you with some thoughts and ideas to go away with and explore. And if it has, then that's fantastic. And I look forward to seeing you or sharing with you in the next video. So until the next time, thank you.